Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. We've got a bunch of new Q posts, and I'm going to start right on them. Keep in mind, I always read through them first one time, and then I go to the analysis later. So if you want to skip to that, just click on the timestamp below. Post 1341. In response to an Anon who says, "We've all been blinded for too long. Alex Jones is not alt media. He is a traitor. He makes us all look crazy. You see the rest." And Q responds at 50 minutes past the hour of 10 a.m. Time to move on. Big week ahead. And then we have a link to Fox News. Q. Post 1342. 18 minutes past the hour of 1 p.m. People united hold the power. Then we have Breitbart link. Q. Post 1343. 16 minutes past the hour of 5 p.m. They attempted to infiltrate, repackage, and rebrand as their own profit vehicle. Destroy through misinformation in brackets. Absorb the confused. Reroute traffic to other platforms. Action was needed. Then we have a 2 in brackets. Number 1, prevent false decodes / misinformation. Number 2, kill targeted in brackets, infection prior to expansion. Simple, non-direct statements made. Be careful who you follow. Some are profiting off this movement. Message sent, message received. Those guilty immediately reacted predictably. Timetable accelerated. Misinformation attack exposed. Attempts to divide. We responded. House cleaning. Heal. We have core in brackets. Important to clean prior to next events. The choice has always been yours. The choice will always be yours. This is not a game. This is not a popularity contest. This is life. Freedom. Together. We the people. Where we go one, we go all. Time to move on in brackets. Dark to light. Attacks will only get worse. Truth is freedom. Truth is logic. Stay the course. Q. Post 1344 coming in at 25 minutes past the hour of 5 p.m. And this is in reference to Q's post from back in January 8th, 2018. Important. No private comms. Past, present, future. No comms made outside of this platform. Any claims that contradict the above should be considered fake news and disregarded immediately. Where we go one, we go all. Patriots. Post 1345, 53 minutes past the hour of 9 p.m. Reread crumbs regarding Iran. It was never about worldwide safety and security. It was never about nuclear disarmament. It was about opening a new untapped market. It was about securing a black site. The exchange. Uranium One. Risk the welfare of the world. Why? Money. Organized, planned by BC/HRC. Carried out by Hussein. Remember, HRC ran against Hussein. Uranium One, donations to CF, Clinton Foundation. $1.7 billion in cash transfer to Iran. Then we have in brackets 4 routes and for separate brackets 5 planes. Did the total withdrawal actually depart EU? Why EU? Define bribe. Define kickback. Special interest groups, SIG in parentheses. What US/EU's companies, I'm assuming, immediately closed large deals in Iran post-deal. Then we have a New York Times link. Cross-check companies against political plus foundation payments. Define bribe. Define kickback. Why are people panicking about Iran deal pullout? They never thought she would lose. Truth coming. Q. Now, post 1346, adding on to that, Q says, digest. Next. What CEOs have resigned post-POTUS election? Cross-check against CEOs in Iran post-deal. You have more than you know. Happy hunting. Q. Post 1347. At 58 minutes past the hour of 9, Q responds to an Anon who says they are freaking out because someone in Iran has threatened to name names of politicians in the West who took bribes to get the deal done. There is a twat to that effect a couple breads ago. And then Q says news beginning to leak. Not new to Anons. Old. Future proves past. Eyes on Q. Post 1348, 58 minutes past the hour of 9 p.m. 4 minutes past the hour of 10, Q responds to an Anon who says, nuke inspector quit. And Q says, coincidence, days after Iran deal withdrawal, corruption everywhere. Q. Post 1349. 9 minutes past the hour of 10 p.m., Q responds to an Anon who says, "We are not divided. Don't let the concerned fags tell you otherwise. The core is finally healing with the bad actors out of the way. Things are looking up. We are in this together. We're finally communicating again. All is good. Cannot say thank you enough. FF." And Q responds, "Godspeed, Patriot." Post 1350. Q says, "If America falls, the world falls. God bless our brave fighting men and women. They deserve our deepest gratitude. Through their strength and the millions of united patriots around the world, we will succeed in this fight. Peace through strength. Now comes the pain. Q." And then post 1351, Q refers us to an older post here regarding the all the resignations. Q says, sealed indictments. Define indictment. An indictment is a formal accusation against one or more defendants, charging them with one or more crimes. In the federal criminal system, the indictment is the principal method by which a prosecutor initiates criminal proceedings. How are they sealed? How are they secured? How are they safeguarded? No leaks. Unusual in brackets. Federal versus ... Why are accusations sealed? Grand jury involved? Reread crumbs regarding DOJ/FBI regarding IG/Huber. Who appointed Huber? Sessions. What departments must be cleaned prior to, I'm assuming that's receiving fair and equal justice in brackets under the law. What happens if federal, criminal, in brackets, indictments are brought forth to a corrupt FBI/DOJ/Fed judge? FBI/DOJ first. C, missing the I, A/state. Next, now comes the pain. Q. And we got some new Q posts coming in here. Post 1352 coming in at 40 minutes past the hour of midnight. We have a link here, Q. 1353 coming in at 37 minutes past the hour of midnight. We have some pictures here from a website that comes from the previous link. And then we have this here. We are Americans, former senior officials and policy experts, academics and civil society leaders who have seen firsthand how the United States is stronger, safer, and more respected in the world when we stand strong with our allies, pursue principled diplomacy, and stay true to the values that have long defined America at home and abroad. And Q responds at 42 minutes past the hour of midnight. Well done, Anon. Q. Post 1354. Responding to an Anon at 43 minutes past the hour of midnight. It looks like they're adding on to this link here. Q says loop. Post 1355. Responding to an Anon at 46 minutes past the hour of midnight, the Anon says FBI and DOJ must clean. Once cleaned, implications huge. Don't forget the judges though. Many comped. Q responds, why are D's slow walking POTUS Fed J nominations? Watch what happens. And then we have -30 in brackets. Q. Post 1356. We have this same link here, and Anon says the shadow government, and Q confirms. Post 1357. 2 minutes past the hour of 1 a.m. Responding to an Anon that says Q is saying there won't be arrests until the justice system is cleaned out. That has to include state judges. Do you have any idea how long that will take? We are now looking at next year for the rest of POTUS judges to be confirmed. That's just federal judges. Doesn't include state. Q responds, what must happen pre-11/11? 11/11 provided as strategic marker. Post midterms. Red wave coming. Strength. Justice. Q. And coming in just now, we got another post, 1358. Wow, Q, slow down. 54 minutes past the hour of 1 a.m. Trust must be earned. Trust is not blind, nor is truth. We fight every single day on behalf of you, the people who put us here. We knew this day would come. We will never forget. Do not glorify us. We are merely the vehicle. You are what matters. You are hope. You are love. You are peace. Stay united, stay together, stay strong. This is bigger than any one person or entity. You are fighting for truth, collectively, will of the people. Trust in yourself. The choice will always be yours. God bless you all. Where we go one, we go all. Q+. Okay, so before I start off on the Q post, I first want to wish you all a happy, I guess belated now at this point, Mother's Day. To all you mothers out there, I appreciate you. And yes, I did get a hold of my mother. My mother is on a cruise in Hawaii. She's probably watching the spewing magma. I hope you all are staying safe out there in Hawaii. She's got probably a sangria in one hand and all you can eat shrimp in the other. But I want to call out this particular mother, and I hope she doesn't mind. Her name is Linda Nelson, and she says, "Love your humor. Just enough to make you smile, but stay focused. Great work." Thanks, Linda. Just wanted to share that my son just received the John Levitou Award. Best Mother's Day gift ever. One very proud mom. Keep up the great work. Well, Linda, thank you very much for letting us all know. And let's talk about that award. The John Levitou Award is the highest honor presented to a graduate of Air Force Enlisted Professional Military Education, PME, including Airman Leadership School, NCO Academy, and the Senior NCO Academy. To be eligible for the award, a graduate must rank in the top 1% of his or her class. Wow, the top 1% right there. That's a pretty big deal. So congratulations, Linda. Thank you, which is incidentally my mother's name as well. So, and happy Mother's Day to you. So you guys can leave a comment for her down below, or you can find, this was her comment from yesterday's video, but a bravo Zulu to your son, Linda. We don't know his name, but congratulations from all of us. Well, that put me in a good mood, so let's get to the Q post. Okay, let's take you back to the beginning, because if I took you to the end, the video would already be over. 50 minutes past the hour of 10, Q is responding to an Anon who says, "We've all been blinded for too long. Alex Jones is not alt media. He is a traitor. He makes us all look crazy. F him." And then Q says, "Time to move on. Big week ahead." And it takes you to this link right here from Fox Insider. Lawyer defends conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. He's playing a character on air. A defense lawyer for radio host Alex Jones said in a Texas child custody hearing that the prominent right-wing conspiracy theorist is a performance artist. According to the Austin American-Statesman, attorney Randall Wilhite said in a pretrial hearing that Jones' angry rants against the government should not be used against him in the case. Wilhite likened the idea to focusing on Jack Nicholson's performance as the Joker in Batman to make a point about the star actor's character. "He's playing a character. He is a performance artist," Wilhite said about Jones, who is battling his ex-wife Kelly Jones over the custody of their 3 children. Jury selection in the case is starting today. Kelly Jones argued that Jones' statements on his InfoWars broadcast show him to be unstable and make him unfit to be a parent. She also called out his expletive-laced rant from 2 weeks ago in which he threatened Democrat U.S. Representative Adam Schiff, California, and used homophobic slurs. Jones has millions of listeners and has been criticized for perpetuating conspiracy theories about 9/11 and the Sandy Hook school shootings, and for helping to start the Pizzagate fake news controversy. Okay. So as you remember, yesterday I didn't want to comment too much on the article regarding Jones and Corsi and whatnot. And Q's bringing this up again, and I do think we should touch on some things here. And I just want you to keep in mind these are some of these topics that are going to come up today and in the next few weeks are very, very polarizing topics. So please just know that and try and temper your statements, because these are not easy issues to hash out. And when it comes to Alex Jones, I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm very conflicted. Let me point out this last line talking about this theories about 9/11 and Sandy Hook and Pizzagate fake news controversy. I'm a little disappointed with Fox News on that, but that's Fox's deal. But I will say this. And those of you who remember, and I know that because I saw your comments from yesterday. A lot of you felt the same way. Alex Jones, back in the day, was the man. Okay, he called out Mossad after 9/11. He did it right away. He did it swiftly, and he stuck his neck out for a bunch of us. And there wouldn't be a bunch of us doing this if it weren't for an Alex Jones. You could argue to some degrees the same kinds of things about Corsi and say Roger Stones or whatever, and and I think we're kind of talking about InfoWars. I don't want to trash talk anybody, but in a way these guys have sort of they've earned their keep, they've done their thing, they've paid their dues. Now that being said, Alex Jones changed over the years. He just did, and we all know that, and we kind of all know sort of the Alex Jones of today. It's a little bit different, and we're not sure what to think of him sometimes. And of course, this lawyer is saying it's all an act, and maybe that's part of a defense mechanism. I have seen Alex Jones kind of claim it was an act, and it wasn't an act. So I'm not sure what to think. How can you be sure about a guy like this? I don't want to drag him through the mud about his case that involves children, so I don't want to talk about that. But as far as these theories and stuff like that, these weren't theories. These were stuff he was kicking some real talk, and that was real. And, so for that, I think he at least needs that respect. Now, going back to this, whatever about this Anon statement, he's welcome to feel that way. I don't like to say F anyone necessarily, especially that way. But Q says time to move on, and I think that's important, okay? We can deal with this, and we can kind of hash it out and see, what's important that we need to take from it. But let's not get all divided over it, okay? Q is saying we got a big week ahead. And incidentally, President Donald Trump tweeted this. Big week next week when the American embassy in Israel will be moved to Jerusalem. Congratulations to all. Okay, so this is going to be a big thing, and let's face it, anytime we talk about Israel, it's a polarizing topic, no matter what you think. And there's lots to consider. Okay. I don't want to try and just sit on a fence with it, but it's not easy to all sort out. And so I find it very interesting that Alex Jones is kind of going through this stuff now, and a very strange time for this announcement. But we also knew this was coming, okay? So there you go. Could that be related? Not sure. We'll see. Let's move on to the next post. We're not going to completely dump this. It's going to kind of come back up. But let's move on to this. Excuse me. Post 1342. Q says people united hold the power. Yeah, well, that's right. We got to stay united. We can disagree on lots of things, but we all want to take down that deep state. All right. Now we got a link here to this Breitbart article. And I would say this should make you angry. This is off of Breitbart. Facebook faces class action lawsuit for saving text and call log of users. May 12, 2018. Facebook is now reportedly facing a class action lawsuit relating to the company's collection of user text and audio logs via the Facebook smartphone app. Fast Company reports a lawsuit filed in the Northern District of California named John Condalay III as the main plaintiff and states that Facebook presents several wrongs, including a consumer bait and switch, an invasion of privacy, wrongful monitoring of minors, and potential attacks on privileged communications. Wrongful monitoring of minors? Mark, did you wrongfully monitor minors? He looks guilty. It was revealed recently that Facebook was collecting and storing logs of users' phone calls and texts, including the recipients of texts and durations of conversations, according to the lawsuit. Facebook has collected and stored information in a scope and manner beyond that which users knowingly authorize. The practice is ongoing. The complaint alleges that this practice violates California's unfair competition law in relation to 3 counts, as well as fraudulent business practice and violation of the Consumer Legal Remedies Act and the Electronic Communications Privacy Act. According to the filing, the terms of the service and privacy notice materials do not inform, and in the past have not informed, the ordinary and reasonably attentive Facebook users that installing the application on a mobile device will result in the logging of all the user's phone and text communications, including recipients, dates of communication, length of communication, and modes of communication on Facebook servers for Facebook's own use. The issue specifically affected Android phone users as until an update was issued in 2012. Android applications could access users' phone calls and text messages without asking for explicit permission. By granting this access, Android users were also automatically and unknowingly granting Facebook permission to scrape or automatically gather Android users' calls and text logs, states the lawsuit. In other words, Facebook scraped years' worth of call and text data, including whether the call was incoming, outgoing, or missed, the data and time of each call, the number dialed, the individual called, and the duration of each call. Condalay is looking for approximately $5 million in damages and would like to make the complaint a class action lawsuit across the entire United States. So imagine if everybody jumped on this class action lawsuit. Then Mark Zuckerberg would be looking like that all the time. Remember, Mark, there will come a day where some of these people will not be able to walk down the street. You sold us out, Mark. You sold us out, buddy. All right. We're moving on. Now it looks like we're going to dig up this conversation again a little bit. And I think it's because Q really wants to be very, very clear. And this is post 1343, 16 minutes past the hour of 5 p.m. They attempted to infiltrate, repackage, and rebrand as their own, a profit vehicle. Okay, well, whether we respect them or not, that's not okay to do. I mean, we know that, okay? This Q stuff is already difficult enough. We don't need people doing that. They don't need to repackage Q. Destroy through misinformation. Yeah, well, that's exactly what it would do, and it would destroy the movement, and that doesn't help anybody. Absorb the confused. Look, it's okay to be confused. I'm confused. There's a lot of things. I still don't know how I feel about it, and I research this stuff all the time. I really do. I'm constantly looking at this stuff, and I still kind of go, God, I just don't know how I feel. Sorry, I'm losing control of my page here. Hey, stop it. Stop it. So absorb the confused. So think about these people that are new to Q. Why are you doing this to me, Q? Stop it. Stop it. If you're confused about this stuff, this isn't going to help if all of a sudden these channels that are kind of claiming to have the inside track on Q, and they're going to tell you, and for a small fee, they'll give you the real, super ninja private translation decoder ring. That's not okay. Reroute traffic to other platforms. Yeah, why not? Because you have to understand things like InfoWars, and I'm not just calling out InfoWars. There were other people that were probably guilty of this too. But I don't want to go with a bunch of names because I don't necessarily know them, But it's competition, because over here Q's free. You can listen to me for free. Even if you hate me, you can still listen to me for free, and that's competition, right? InfoWars, or not just InfoWars, like I said, all these media channels, they gotta make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to reroute that kind of traffic to other platforms is not okay. And it looks to me like Q says action was needed. And then we have a bracket in two, and I kind of feel like this misinformation to targeted, and then you have core down here. It looks like they might have targeted two people that were targeted. I'm not so sure. Q uses the brackets a little bit different now, and then, of course, there's two actions here, too. So, but one, prevent false decodes and misinformation. Well, we had that, right? We had some false decodes kind of going on, and that made a lot of people upset, rightfully so. It made it really, really hard to cover because we didn't know what to talk about. Killing the targeted infection prior to expansion. Yeah, we can't grow this message if it's infected, if it's not okay, because the infection grows, too. Now, I'm not sure if they're talking about necessarily two specifically, whether that's Alex Jones, Jerome Corsi. We know that that's what everyone's talking about. But either way, Q says simple, non-direct statements were made, and it seemed to have worked. And Q simply said that, be careful who you follow. You remember that. Some are profiting off this movement. So the message was sent, the message was received, and those that were guilty immediately reacted, and we saw that. Okay, we saw that across a couple platforms, to be fair. Okay, but one in particular. Timetable accelerated. I want to talk about that in a second, but let me just finish this thread here, this post. But yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how that affected the timetable, but whatever it was, it exposed whoever was attempting to divide. Okay, and we talked a lot about that lately. So we responded: house cleaning, heal the core. So whether or not there was communications with people that were supposed to be inside the Q. Q's always said no outside comms, but the people that were claiming that were definitely making, kind of these divisive statements. Probably still are. And that's definitely not okay. And we got a house clean because it's going to be important to clean prior to next events, because this is the justice phase. And also remember, we are on the Patriots fight board now. We got to fight now. This is war. Okay. And in war, there's going to be a lot of disinformation. We're going to see this kind of stuff. It's going to get ugly. The choice has always been yours. The choice will always be yours. Keep that in mind. And I think you already know that. You clearly already know that. You guys are brilliant. This is not a game. No, it's not a game. We're watching it play out now with Alex Jones. He's going to have to reckon with himself. Dr. Corsi, he's going to have to reckon with himself. Whoever, David Seaman, whoever, they're going to have to reckon with themselves. And, I hope it's a happy ending for them. I really, really do. But either way, they're going to have to reckon for what they've done and what they're involved in. I don't know the extent of it. I've seen both sides of it, and you could argue for both sides of it. But either way, it's going to play out. But this is not a game. I remember we saw H.R. McMaster's father. And look, we knew he was a leaker. It's not okay to do, especially at that level. And that's what you get when you play that game. That's the kind of game this is. And Q saying it's not a game. It's not funny. That stuff's not funny. People are dying. And we got to be real careful with how we treat each other. Because if we're not together on this, we'll cause some trouble ourselves. We don't want to do that. It's not a popularity contest. This is life. Freedom. Yeah, your ability to say what you want. Just don't tread on somebody else. Together, we the people, where we go one, we go all. Time to move on. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Folks, let's take down some 5G towers. Let's take down Hillary Clinton. Let's take down Barack Obama, John Kerry. Who else you want to take down? Let's take down some Rockefellers. All right? Let's take down some knuckleheads. Let's do it together. Attacks will only get worse. It's getting worse. But we can get better. All right? Everybody running around, oh, so-and-so's comped, and this so-and-so's comped, and you're comped, and you're comped. No, you're comped. I'm not comped. You're comped. Hey, am I comped? I'm not comped. Are you comped? I'm not comped. We're not comped. We're bitching. Truth is freedom. Damn right it is. Truth is logic. Stay the course. Q. Let's move on to this next one here, and I think Q's just kind of driving it home. But this one's important here. This is 1344, 25 minutes past the hour of 5 p.m., Q says. Refers back to a post from January. Important, no private comms, past, present, or future, meaning that there never were private comms, there aren't, and there won't be. Excuse me. No comms made outside of this platform. Yeah, there it is. There it is. So, if you want to say Q is comp, you're welcome to, but, Q's making this pretty clear that they were ready for this the whole time. The next line's kind of interesting, too. Any claims that contradict the above should be considered fake news. Who says fake news all the time? Who says fake news all the time? And they're not talking about Anons. They're not talking about, that kind of stuff. They're talking about conglomerates or groups or, people that have a pretty big voice. But it says any claims that contradict the above should be considered fake news. So they were ready for this. They knew this disinformation campaign was going to come. And they probably knew a lot better than we did how it was going to come. And, I think some of that kind of got exposed when Q accidentally screwed up their trip code. Maybe that was to expose somebody. Somebody was calling Q out saying Q was an AI. All of a sudden, Q made a human error. Interesting timing, don't you think? I want to move on from this topic. I love you all. I really, really do. But I've got so much hate from it that it's made me tired. Okay, really, I do. I love you guys so much, but I've had so many false words put in my mouth over this issue of, Alex Jones and this and that. And, it's just, I don't want to do that with you. I'm trying to work with you here. And I know that most of you are trying to work with me too. And I appreciate that. So again, where we go one, we go all. Patriots. Let's move on. Post 1345. Reread the crumbs regarding Iran. Okay. Now, there's a ton regarding Iran. And if I may, I just want to see if I can take you back to I think it's the very first time I ever saw Q mention Iran. Post 39, back in November 2nd of 2017. Let's read it knowing what we know now. Would it blow your mind if I told you Barack Obama has been to North Korea and perhaps there now? I think it might have blown our mind back in October or November, but I don't think it really blows our mind now. Why did his administration do little to slow their nuclear and missile capabilities? Because they were the ones helping it build it up. Who feeds North Korea with strategic intel? Iran. Well, it looks like Q answered our question there. What deal was done with Iran under Barack Obama? A terrible, terrible, terrible deal. That's no longer. Why was the deal sealed under a top secret classification? Well, top secret, you're not supposed to reveal top secret stuff. So nobody would know about it. And so Congress wouldn't get notified. Why wasn't Congress notified? Because it was top secret. They didn't want them to know because they knew they weren't going to vote for it. They knew that wasn't going to fly. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Nobody wants to nuke themselves. Nobody wants to power your enemies with uranium that's yours. And, come on now. Why after Barack Obama left office, all of a sudden North Korea has nukes and the tech to miniaturize for payload delivery within the U.S.? Because that was the plan. That was the plan. Because whether it was Barack Obama or whether it was Hillary Clinton, there was that 16-year plan. And one of them was going to carry out one. The other was going to carry out the back half. All right? What about NSA, CIA, DIA, etc.? All confirming tech won't be in place for 5+ years. Statements made in 2016. Okay, so that'd take you about 2021. Who was supposed to be president back then? Interesting. Let's take you back to the current post. I don't know why I made that sound effect. Just trying to entertain you, I guess. All right. So, we reread some of the crumbs regarding Iran. It was never about worldwide safety and security, was it? No, it wasn't. It was about paying to play. It was about making a bunch of money and not caring about anybody else, including your own country. It was never about nuclear disarmament. No. It was very much about nuclear armament. It was about opening a new untapped market. It was about securing a black site. A black site. Let's talk about black site. Let me see where we're at here. Here we go. A black site. In military terminology, a black site is a location at which an unacknowledged black project is conducted. It can refer to the facilities that are controlled by the CIA and used by the U.S. government in its war on terror to detain alleged unlawful enemy combatants. Interestingly enough, folks, I'm not going to read this whole thing because we got so much Q. There is a lot of good stuff here about these black sites. Talking about the Red Cross. On September 6, 2006, Bush publicly admitted the existence of secret prisons and announced that many of the detainees held there were being transferred to Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, Guantanamo Bay was also considered a black site. But what was the Red Cross doing? Preparing a report based on interviews with black site detainees? What were they doing interviewing black site detainees? What were they doing? Why is the Red Cross always involved in all this stuff? Anyway, I'm not going to go all the way into this, but man, there's just so much. Really, I suggest that you look up this black site. This is just the Wikipedia site. Okay, this is Wikipedia.org, and if you just want to know more about black sites, it already led to some really creepy stuff, but you get the idea. Okay, they were the black site being Iran, meaning that they could exchange anything. They exchange uranium, weapons, people, money, whatever you wanted. Probably little children. Hope to God not buddy. But you could exchange anything you want on the black site because nobody's talking about it. Risk the welfare of the world. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. And now we're dealing with it. Why? All for money. All for money. All so they could pay to play. Organized, planned by, yeah, you guessed it, Bill Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton. They're the one that's been doing all this. Isn't it? Every single activity always goes right back to them, doesn't it? Carried out by Hussein. Yeah. He was the man. Remember, Hillary Rodham Clinton ran against Hussein. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it really mattered. And I could be wrong on that, but I kind of feel like it didn't matter. They were going to throw them both up there, and we'll see. But one of them was going to get it. And then the other one would finish off. And then the other one could have Secretary of State or whatever. They were going to figure out one way or another. Remember, she was never supposed to lose. Uranium One, donations to Clinton Foundation. Yeah, well, everything ended up donating through the Clinton Foundation. Still is. New Zealand just donated to the Clinton Foundation. That's how these people got everything done. These foundations, these freaking humanitarians. 1.7 billion in cash transferred to Iran. 4 routes, 15, is it routes? 5 planes. Okay, I remember 3. I guess there was 5. I don't remember about the other 2. Maybe some of you can enlighten me, but I remember the 3, and let me tell you about those. This is back in September 7, 2016 off of Fortune.com. The U.S. sent another $1.3 billion to Iran after hostages were released. The controversial $400 million payment that the U.S. sent to Iran in January, just as 4 American hostages were released, a plane load of euros, Swiss francs, and other currencies, was only the first of 3 American cash deliveries to the country, the Obama administration reportedly told lawmakers on Tuesday. During the 19 days following the first shipment, the U.S. sent 2 more plane loads of cash, totaling $1.3 billion to Tehran, reports the Wall Street Journal. The 2 plane loads, which passed through Europe on January 22nd and February 5th, followed the same route as the earlier payment, a congressional aide who was briefed told the Journal. In the first payment, an Iranian cargo plane picked up the money in Geneva. That would be Switzerland, and of course this was loaded with Swiss francs and euros. Why would you do that if you were sending this money to Iran? That's also a little bit weird, don't we think? Did the total withdrawal actually depart EU? I doubt it. I doubt it if they're picking it up in Geneva and they got all those Swiss francs. I'm sure the Swiss would probably love to use some of that money. After all, it's $1.7 billion. Why the EU? Because the EU was the hub. Dare I say, the EU was almost the new world order, right? That we were going to have this sum of all fears situation where all the world powers were fighting while the EU took control. The EU was all about where everybody was paying to play. That was they wanted to push this EU thing so hard, and it failed on them because the people kind of caught on. But But they're still trying to really, really make that the central hub. That was the place that wasn't going to get hit. And they were the ones using the bribes and using the kickbacks to get in Iran. Special interest groups, that's exactly what they are. Which, incidentally, is really great. I'm glad that Q mentioned SIG being special interest groups, so we don't have to guess if it's signal intelligence or something like that. It's special interest groups. Great. All right. What US/EU companies immediately closed large deals in Iran post-deal? And it takes you to this New York Times article. Where are we at here? There we go. European companies rush to invest in Iran. What now? This is from May 9th. European companies moved quickly to invest in Iran after it agreed in 2015 to mothball its nuclear weapons program in return for an end to economic sanctions. Automakers like Daimler and PSA Peugeot Citroën linked up with Iranian partners to sell vehicles. Siemens of Germany struck a deal to deliver locomotives. Total of France began a project to explore offshore natural gas. Yet even before President Trump pulled out of the agreement with Iran, many companies have already tempered their expectations and limited their investment. Now their prospects look murkier as European leaders try to determine whether there is a path forward without the United States. Officials in Europe want to protect its companies by finding ways to shield them from American sanctions while they continue doing business in Iran. The United States, however, has not struck an optimistic tone. Steven Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, has already said licenses that allow Boeing and Airbus, the American and European aircraft giants, to sell to Iran will be revoked. The objective is to put and maintain maximum sanctions on Iran, Mr. Mnuchin said. With a population of about 82 million and substantial oil reserves, Iran represented a largely untouched market with the potential for fast growth, a rare opportunity for Western companies with global ambitions. All right. And now I'm just going to kind of paraphrase from some of this because it's kind of a long article, but here we go. A lot of players like General Electric, Boeing, Chevron, ExxonMobil. Hey, wait a minute. Those are American companies. Many American companies, including oil giants like Chevron and ExxonMobil, had to watch from a distance. Even with the deal in place, they were still effectively blocked by sanctions imposed by the United States from working in Iran. European businesses did not have the same restrictions. Folks, we were sitting there, locked out, watching from the outside, while these companies got in and dipped into these black sites. I'm not going to read you the rest of this, but this is a good article, and there's some really good stuff, and it talks a lot about the different but we kind of understand this, right? They were getting in there for oil. They were getting in there for green technology. They wanted to sell their cars. They wanted to sell their railroads. They wanted to sell their whatever. They wanted to pay to play. They wanted to do their thing. And they were willing to give Iran the ability to get nukes in order to do that. And that to me sounds like a bribe, okay? And the kickback is usually what comes after the bribe. Let me make some money and I'm going to kick it back to you. Cross-checks companies against political and foundation payments. Define bribe, define kickback. Okay, well, I'm sorry, I haven't been able to quite do that yet, but I'm sure we're going to start seeing that sift out. Why are people panicking about Iran deal pullout? They never thought she would lose. Truth coming. Yeah. Well, people are going to start getting called out real quick now because that Iran deal is no longer. And so all those people who were going to be part of the shakedown are now getting shaken down. Let's move you on to the next post. Q says digest. I suggest a little bit of fresh ginger. Next, what CEOs have resigned post-POTUS election? Well, we've had a massive list of CEOs, right? Hewlett Packard, and the lips, PepsiCo, it goes on and on and on. And we've already rehashed that, right? But now Q is asking us to cross-check against companies in Iran post-deal. You have more than you know. Happy hunting. And now I've only found really one thing, and I'm going to wait to here because let me read the next post or two because we'll get to it. And it was the only one that I found, but there are more. But in this next post, Q responds to an Anon who says they are freaking out because someone in Iran has threatened to name names of politicians in the West who took bribes to get the deal done. And I'm not really sure what that means. There's a twat to that effect a couple threads ago. I think that means there's a tweet to that effect a couple threads ago. I'm not really sure. But anyway, Q says news is beginning to leak. Not news to Anons. Old. Future proofs past. Eyes on. Okay, I'm not sure if they're talking about the eyes. 5 eyes are on. But yeah, a lot of this news isn't new to us, Anons, because we've been following this for months and we already have kind of started to be able to kind of piece the story together a little bit. We are over here at the Gateway Pundit. Oh boy, Iranian regime threatens to release names of Western officials who took bribes to pass nuke deal. This is off of May 12th. Earlier this week, President Trump withdrew from the sham Iranian nuclear deal. President Trump knew the deal with the Iranian mullahs was not working. This was despite former Secretary of State John Kerry working against the Trump administration to salvage the weak deal with the Iranian regime. On Saturday, John Kerry was spotted at a meeting with Iranian officials in Paris, France. Of course, the Iranian regime is very upset with President Trump's decision. Now this. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman Hossein Jabari-Ansari warned Western officials this week that if they do not put pressure on the Trump administration, the Iranian regime will leak the names of all Western officials who were bribed to pass the weak deal. Dun, dun, dun. And we have a couple tweets here. One is from Rahman Ghavani, H.J. Ansari Zarif's senior advisor. If Europeans stop trading with Iran and don't put pressure on U.S., then we will reveal which Western politicians and how much money they had received during nuclear negotiations to make #Iran deal happen. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. And Banef Shaporzan agrees with me. She says, looking forward to finding out. Dun, dun, dun. And then over here on this post, this Anon says, nuke inspector quit. Q says, coincidence, days after Iran deal withdrawal, corruption everywhere. And excuse me, that is, where is it? This right here. This is off of foreignpolicy.com. May 11th. Top State Department nuclear expert announces resignation after Trump-Iran deal exit. One of the State Department's top experts on nuclear proliferation resigned this week after President Donald Trump announced the U.S. withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal in what officials and analysts say is part of a worrying brain drain from public service generally over the past 18 months. Richard Johnson, a career civil servant who served as acting assistant coordinator in State's Office of Iran Nuclear Implementation, has been involved with talks of countries that sought to salvage the deal in recent weeks, including Britain, France, and Germany. What a surprise that it would be Britain, France, and Germany. An effort that ultimately failed. He did not give a specific reason for his departure, but in a farewell email to colleagues and staff, Johnson stressed that the 2015 agreement Trump was ditching had successfully curbed Iran's nuclear program. I am proud to have played a small part in this work, particularly the extraordinary achievement of implementing the deal with Iran, which has clearly been successful in preventing Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon, he wrote. Foreign Policy obtained a copy of the email. Johnson's departure leaves a growing void in the State Department's stable of experts on Iran's nuclear program and highlights a broader problem of high-level departures from government. Officials say the trend is particularly evident at the State Department, where Trump sidelined career diplomats and morale plummeted under former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. Tillerson. Yeah, it really did. It plummeted, right? Okay, so you get the idea. So this guy, now all of a sudden, he's out of the way. And I'm sure we're going to see some more corruption everywhere. I'm sure you guys will probably have some more for me in the comments below. But yeah, so that's the nuke inspector right there. Let's move on, please. Post 1349. Q responds to Anon that says, we are not divided. Don't let the concerned facts tell you otherwise. The core is finally healing with the bad actors out of the way. Things are looking up. We are in this together. We're finally communicating. Again, all is good. Cannot say thank you enough. I think that Anon said it pretty well, right? We're not as divided as people would like to think that we are. Okay? There's a lot of concern and I guess concerned facts that will tell you otherwise, but the core is healing up, and you know, maybe this deal with, you know, Corsi and Alex Jones, hopefully it'll shake out and can kind of cool everybody off once we see what really happened. But you know, regardless, it seems to me like there's plenty of proof that stuff's happening. Things are moving pretty well, and if you don't trust that, you're welcome to, you know, get off the train. It's okay, or go find your truth in whichever way you do. Q responds here: Godspeed, Patriot. Let's move on to the next post. Post 1350. If America falls, the world falls. God bless our brave fighting men and women. They deserve our deepest gratitude. Through their strength and the millions of united patriots around the world, we will succeed in this fight. Peace through strength. Now comes the pain. Okay. I don't want to go way into this. There's no decoding. Obviously, you know what that means. The hard part's about to come, folks. We're getting into Iran and we're getting into Israel. A couple of the hardest topics to talk about. And we're going to need to keep cool heads. And we're going to need to learn to speak and listen with compassion. Because whatever's coming, And clearly Q is saying the pain is coming. We've talked about, I mentioned it with the post about Senator McCain. You know, whatever this is going to be very, very painful. And I have a feeling it's going to be painful in a mainstream way. All right. We've already seen a little bit of pain amongst the Anons, but this, I think, is going to start opening everything up into the mainstream. It's going to be even more painful because these people haven't even heard any of this stuff. And when arrests start coming, when justice starts coming, there's going to be a lot of angry people wanting to know what's really going on. And we're going to have to keep a cool head with that. That's all I want to say about that for now. Post 1351, Q takes us back, way back, and by way back I mean like days ago, to these posts here regarding the FBI and the DOJ and all that, all these different firings and being forced out and who's cooperating and whatnot. Okay. Q says sealed indictments. Define indictment. Well, we don't have to because you did it for us. An indictment is a formal accusation against one or more defendants, charging them with one or more crimes. In the federal criminal system, the indictment is the principal method by which a prosecutor initiates criminal proceedings. How are they sealed? How are they secured? How are they safeguarded? Well, I'm not 100% sure, but let me take you over here to uslegal.com. And we already kind of defined indictment, but we're going to go back to this in just a second. Let me take you down to this third paragraph here. It says a sealed indictment is an indictment that is sealed so that it stays non-public until it is unsealed. Ooh, I bet they call it an unsealed indictment after that, huh? This can be done for a number of reasons. It may be unsealed. Ooh, I was right. For example, once the named person is arrested. The following is an example of a federal rule dealing with sealed indictments. The magistrate judge to whom an indictment is returned may direct that the indictment be kept secret until the defendant is in custody or has been released pending trial. The clerk must then seal the indictment, and no person may disclose the indictment's existence except as necessary to issue or execute a warrant or summons. Okay, so it sounds like that means they've got to look for arrest. Well, no, I don't know how they're safeguarded, I guess. I guess some sort of clerk holds on to them or something like that. No leaks. Unusual. Well, that's another way to safeguard it, not leaking it. How about that? Well, it is unusual because all those leakers we got rid of. Federal versus, federal versus state. Why are accusations sealed? Well, keep in mind, we do have a grand jury involved. Now, let me take you back to that same site. And let's read the first paragraph. An indictment is a formal accusation of a felony issued by a grand jury based upon a proposed charge, witnesses' testimony, and other evidence presented by the public prosecutor, district attorney. It is the grand jury's determination that there is enough evidence that the defendant committed the crime to justify having a trial voted by a grand jury. In order to issue an indictment, the grand jury doesn't make a determination of guilt, but only the probability that a crime was committed, that the accused person did it, and that he or she should be tried. District attorneys do not present a full case to the grand jury, but often only introduce key facts sufficient to show the probability that the accused committed a crime. Okay. Let's read the second paragraph real quick. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution provides that no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment of a grand jury. That means that there's going to be big crimes going on. Therefore, grand juries are often used in charging federal crimes. However, states often use a preliminary hearing held by a lower court judge or other magistrate in place of a grand jury to determine whether the prosecutor has presented sufficient evidence that the accused has committed a felony. If the judge finds enough evidence that the accused committed a crime, the case will be ordered to be sent to the appropriate court for trial. Okay, so there's lots of things that you can look into here, but it seems to me that when you putting together a grand jury, you're pretty sure you're going to get some, the accusations are probably pretty spot on. You're probably not going to go through all this trouble of getting a grand jury if you don't think you're going to win the case. Reread crumbs regarding DOJ, FBI, regarding IG. Huber. Who appointed Huber? Well, Sessions appointed Huber. What departments must be cleaned prior to receiving fair and equal justice under the law? Well, the Justice Department. We've been talking about this, and that's what these crumbs are talking about, the DOJ, FBI, and all that. Okay? We can't get... Well, let me read the next part first real quick. What happens if the federal criminal indictments are brought forth to a corrupt FBI, DOJ, federal judge? Okay. Well, if you bring it to the corrupt FBI, the FBI is not going to investigate it. If you bring it to the Department of Justice, they're not even going to try and prosecute it. And the federal judges, they're not going to rule on them if they're all criminal, if they're all part of the cabal. So you got to start with the FBI, I guess. And then you got to go with the DOJ. And then you got to take the I out of the CIA. Then you work on the State Department, and I guess that might be next. And I guess that's going to be painful because Q says, now comes the pain. And I just want to comment on this really quick. Folks, I know it's a long, long haul. And I know everyone's really, really frustrated. But I would ask you this. Do you want to get Hillary Clinton on the Logan Act? You want to get Hillary Clinton on tax evasion or some sort of tax fraud thing or something like that? Or do you want to get Hillary Clinton for treason? You understand what I'm saying? We might be able to just kind of rush in and arrest her for something, but nothing's going to stick. Nothing's going to stick. And like I said before, Trey Gowdy, Jason Chaffetz, those guys found out the hard way, right? It's not going to happen. And now that we can kind of clean house a little bit, maybe we can actually get some trials done. Maybe we actually start seeing some orange suits. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really important to remember because this is not easy. Let's move on. Now we get this link here, post 1352, and I'm going to take you to this link real quick here. I'm actually going to let me just read these next 3 posts right here. Okay, so this one takes you to the link, and the link actually takes you to the site which shows you all these people here. This is a nationalsecurityaction.org. Okay, let's take you over there. That's these guys right here. Let's take you to the home page. Good place to start, huh? Let's go, homepage. And yeah, nice. National Security Action, Statue of Liberty. This looks patriotic. Bitchin'. Where you go? There you are. Don't go away. Don't leave me like that. Committed to restoring principled American leadership at home and abroad. This sounds awesome. Our mission, National Security Action, is dedicated to advancing American global leadership and opposing the reckless policies of the Trump administration that endanger our national security and undermine our U.S. What? Bringing together and mobilizing an unparalleled network sounds awesome with former senior officials and policy experts, academics, and civil society leaders who are dedicated to a progressive vision of American global leadership. Shining a bright light on the Trump administration's reckless... What? Wait a minute. You guys, what are you doing? What's your focus? Let's read their focus. Boy, this site takes a minute, doesn't it? Tell me what your focus is, folks. A moment of alarm and action. Under President Trump's reckless leadership, the United States is weaker in the world, less safe and more isolated. He's retreating from the world stage, George Bush Sr., undercutting the intelligence and law enforcement agencies that keep us safe, Barack Obama. Undermining the diplomacy that prevents wars, John Kerry, insulting our allies, attacking democratic traditions, DNC, and cozying up to dictators, Barack Obama, while abandoning America's commitment to universal rights and human dignity. His outbursts on Twitter are destabilizing abroad, John Brennan, and beneath the dignity of the highest office in our land, no name. Impulsive, erratic, and staggeringly ignorant of how the world works. Sounds a little like me. Trump is unfit to lead our men and women in uniform, and he diminishes our country's state. Okay, so you see what's going on. These guys don't like Trump. They don't sound patriotic. They just acted like they were patriotic. That doesn't sound right. Let me show you this here. This is who we are. We are Americans, former senior officials and policy experts, academics, and civil society leaders who have seen firsthand how the United States is stronger, safer, and more respected in the world when we stand strong with our allies, pursue principled diplomacy, and stay true to the values that have long defined America at home and abroad. And then here's the crew. There's Ruben. There we go. Oh, it's a good-looking crew. Ooh, Susan Rice is in here. That sounds awesome. You know, something that I noticed, you have a picture of the presidential seal here, but no president. How about that? Okay, so now this crew, Q is saying loop. And loop, of course, we're talking about Loop Capital. Loop Capital. Let's talk about Loop Capital just briefly. I want to take you back to post 480. Do not lose focus on Loop Capital. Post 524. Loop Capital, CEOs / board of directors paying to play. Slush funds. Hussein, $29 million from Singapore We don't say his name. 19 million. Singapore. Why don't we say his name? Cause he's a punk. HRC, Bill Clinton, 15 million. Banco de Mexico. Nonprofit, 8 million. Deutsche Bank. On and on and on. Follow the money. Okay, so this loop capital was sort of the funding everyone's ability to be able to kind of pay and play and do what they wanted. And they just kind of funnel them in. So all these former executives, remember over here it says former senior officials and policy experts. These are all the guys who aren't in government anymore but pretend to be in government. Maybe some of them still kind of are, but it looks like these are a lot of former government people, all still pretending to run the world, getting funded by Loop Capital. How about that? Post 1355. FBI and DOJ must clean. Once cleaned, implications huge. Don't forget the judges, though. Many comped. Q responds to that, Anon, who says, why are Democrats slow walking POTUS's federal judge nominations? What happens? Well, because they know if they get the federal judge nominations, they're going to get the indictments. They know that. And if they can keep the federal judges at least paid for or whatever, at least it'll buy him some time. What happens? Watch what happens. I don't know. It could have been under 30 minutes. It might have already happened, but I'm assuming that's maybe under 30 days. Looks like we got 30 days and we're going to see. Moving on. I'm sorry. I'm moving quickly. We're almost done here. 1356. And this is the same link. And an Anon says the shadow government. And Q seems to be acknowledging that. Okay. So these guys right here, these patriotic folks right here, sitting around getting their slush funds, being all patriotic. Okay. Loving on Trump with their presidential seal with no president sitting in it. I think we get what they're trying to say. Let's move on. Post 1357. Q responds to an Anon that says Q is saying there won't be arrests until the justice system is cleaned out. That has to include state judges. Do you have any idea how long that will take? We are now looking at next year for the rest of POTUS judges to be confirmed. That's just federal judges. Doesn't include state. Q says what must happen pre-11/11? 11/11 provided as strategic markers. Well, I would assume that's, come around, now we wanted to have this parade in November, but also we got to remember that we got midterms. Post midterms, Q says red wave coming. Now remember a few days ago, he was talking about a blue wave coming. Looks like Q's now projecting a red wave, Strength, justice, Q. Final post, 1358. Q says, trust must be earned. Trust is not blind, nor is truth. And that's very true. Trust isn't blind. We can follow all this Q stuff, but we're not blind about it. If you see something you don't like, parse it out. It's all good. We fight every single day on behalf of you, the people who put us here. That means they'd be elected officials, right? We knew this day would come. We will never forget. Do not glorify us. We are merely the vehicle. You are what matters. You are hope. You are love. You are peace. Stay united. Stay together. Stay strong. This is bigger than any one person or entity. You are fighting for truth collectively. Will of the people. Trust in yourself. The choice will always be yours. God bless you all. Where we go one, we go all. And I think that's a great way to end these Q posts. Guys, thanks so much. This was a very, very long video. And those are your Q posts. If you want to hang with me for a few minutes more, I would like to explain to you. I was going to cover the little plan here, and I'm going to take you over there now. This is off of Neon Revolt's wonderful blog that he always has going on, and someone looks like an Anon sent this to Neon Revolt, and I'm just going to explain this briefly. And I'm sorry I don't have a link for this. I can just tell you to go to neonrevolt.com, and I'll leave that link for you. But I just want to point this out. There's a little graphic that somebody provided for Neon Revolt. And over here in the right corner, I know you can't see my cursor very well, sorry, but these 3 paragraphs here that say theory summary. Q is hinting that Friday, 12/22/17 was the first day of week 22 in an operation countdown that will end exactly 22 weeks later on Friday, 5/25/18. Okay, remember, this is all talking about the timeline that I was talking about earlier in the video. I decided to just cover here at the end. Okay, now, if you see next to the theory summary, you see all the weeks here, dated. Okay, from down here 1 all the way up here highlighted in yellow to week 22. And you'll see those references to week 22 in all these yellow connectors here going to all these different posts. Sorry that I'm moving forward fast, but if you want to look at this, I highly suggest you save it. Second paragraph says the Q post presented here hint that sessions will be making large moves in the final week 1 of the countdown, and that's the week between 5/18 and 5/25 coming up. Okay, and now you can see that highlighted in the green indicators here. Q has posted 5/5 and on the clock on separate occasions. This could mean that 5/5 on a clock hand looks like the letter Q, which results in a time of 5:25. This could signal the end of this particular 22-week operation on May 25th, 5/25. Okay, and you can see right here, down here with the little red clock here, Q when represented on the clock is 5:25. This could be a marker for the final day of the 22-week countdown, excuse me. So I know I'm kind of skimming over this because it's already a long video, but I hope this helps you. And you can find this on Neon Revolt. Thank you so much. And if you happen to have a link to this direct graphic, then maybe you can provide it down below. But that is all I have for you today. And I think that's plenty to chew on. Hang in there, guys. This is Sir Patrick Mack. Until next time, stay cool, stay calm, stay collected.